Hello everyone, I'm John Saunders, and welcome to ESPN's College Basketball. Duke versus Kentucky, 1992, the greatest game ever. The NCAA tournament has seen many great battles and more than its share of dramatic finishes. The 1992 East Regional Final will always be famous because of Christian Laettner's game-winning jump shot at the buzzer. But the game was much more than the shot. It's a story of two programs with great tradition and very unique personnel. There are numerous heroes, more than one climactic moment, and of course, the unforgettable finish. But we are not concluding that the best college basketball game ever took place March 28, 1992 at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. But we can make a strong case for it. Join us for the next half hour as we examine this sensational matchup that will forever touch the lives of a few dozen players and coaches and enthrall millions of college basketball fans across America. We begin the story by exploring the events and meeting the characters directly and indirectly involved in the game. Since the mid-1980s, Duke had the distinction of being the team that no one else wanted to play in the NCAA tournament. The Blue Devils entered the 1992 tournament as defending national champions. They were #1 for 18 straight weeks during the regular season, and a victory over Kentucky would send Duke to the Final Four for the 5th consecutive season. This was perhaps the most talented group of players head coach Mike Krzyzewski had assembled, and his marquee player was senior Christian Laettner. Laettner was already a legend for his tournament heroics, which included this jump shot in the 1990 East Regional Final that put the Blue Devils in the Final Four.
Laettner accepts the ball from the official, gets it into Bryant, back to Laettner, he dribbles, takes the shot at the buzzer, scores! Duke's going to Denver! Duke's going to Denver!
Whether by 1 point or 20, the Blue Devils knew how to win in March. With 5 national championships to its credit, the tradition-filled basketball program at the University of Kentucky had not played a significant game in the month of March since 1988. From 1989 through 1991, the Wildcats were on probation for numerous NCAA rules violations. But 1989 was also the year that Rick Pitino became Kentucky's head coach. And a time of potential disgrace was suddenly a time of hope. In Pitino's second season, the Wildcats went 22-6. Off probation in 1992, Kentucky won the Southeastern Conference's postseason tournament and earned the #2 seed in the East Regional. Pitino's 4 seniors, Richie Farmer, Darren Feldhaus, John Pelfrey, and Sean Woods, were overachievers that epitomized their high-strung and competitive coach. The 92 season was the seniors' only chance to leave their indelible mark on the Kentucky faithful. They would succeed in ironic fashion.
This ESPN special presentation of NCAA basketball, Duke versus Kentucky 1992, the greatest game ever, is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers with that fresh, pure, natural taste. Nothing beats a Bud.
Owned a deadly 3-point touch.
We kind of felt going into the game that we couldn't let him couldn't let him go off like he usually does, and we had to sort of try to contain him. And he was just a great player. And most of our focus was on stopping Jamal Mashburn and stopping the 3-point shot.
Laettner, college basketball's player of the year, was also a threat inside and outside for the Blue Devils.
I thought that they would have a real hard time covering Christian. They didn't have a strong big man, and the fact that when they pressed, we had as good a point guard as there was to try to take advantage of that pressure.
The most important key of the game would be Kentucky's relentless pressure defense. This type of defense was actually welcomed by the Blue Devils, who possessed an explosive transition game led by All-American playmaker Bobby Hurley. Duke was one team that Kentucky would have trouble wearing down.
The way we play, we try to make our press a factor, not so much in that we get so many steals and things in the first half. It's in the second half, it wears them down, and in the last 5 minutes, maybe we'll have a good run, 16-2 run.
Well, initially coming into each game, the team's going to press. It kind of challenges me to, try and step up my game, and I take that, as something I look to try and beat. When teams try and trap me, I really, look to try and go through them, and that was something I was thinking about doing.
In a big game, great teams need to go to their strengths. Kentucky's biggest offensive weapon was the three-point shot. The Wildcats converted on only 3 three-pointers in their previous game against Massachusetts, nearly 6 below their average. They would have to regain their touch against Duke.
You know, they can either make 33 pointers or they can make 5, but it doesn't matter how many they make, they're going to keep shooting them, and that puts a lot of pressure on the other team.
The Blue Devils shot over 53% from the field as a team, and they had every intention of getting high percentage shots after breaking through Kentucky's pressure. The winner of the East Regional would take on West Regional champion Indiana the following weekend in Minneapolis. The Wildcats, who had hit over 300 three-pointers throughout the season, demonstrated early on that they had regained their touch from long distance. Jamal Mashburn was actively involved in the Wildcat offense. And the UK pressure, which helped the Wildcats set a Southeastern Conference record of 368 steals, kept the Blue Devils off balance as the Wildcats jumped out to an early 8-point lead. But Kentucky's lead did not last long. Duke adapted to Kentucky's pressure and converted on several easy baskets. Leitner was scoring not only in Duke's half-court offense, but in their potent transition game as well. And Duke's domination of the boards against the smaller Wildcats led to several high-percentage shots, as the Blue Devils quickly erased the Kentucky lead. This layup by Leitner in the first half made him the all-time leading scorer in NCAA tournament history. But it would be a basket later in this game that would separate Leitner from all other prolific scorers. Emotions were high throughout the entire half as neither team could pull away from the other. At halftime, it was the Duke Blue Devils 50 and the Kentucky Wildcats 45. It had been 20 minutes of tournament-caliber basketball, but nothing like the 20 minutes that would follow. Duke began to pull away in the second half, as this three-pointer by Bobby Hurley put the Blue Devils up 67-55 with 11:08 remaining. It was Duke's first double-digit lead of the game, and Kentucky called timeout.
I knew Kentucky would come out as strong as they had for the entire game right after that timeout. And I told my team, I said, we can win the game right now, or we're going to be in a position where we might lose it.
We didn't panic or anything because we've been in that situation before. And we knew that eventually, you know, it's never failed that our pressure would soon kick in and the opposing team would get tired. You know, they would start making some mental mistakes.
For Pitino, it was time to see if his team had the resolve to fight back against the defending national champions. He wouldn't be disappointed. Tournament. Who can forget Lorenzo Charles' dunk at the buzzer that enabled North Carolina State to upset Houston in the 1983 championship game? Or how about Keith Smart's fadeaway jumper that lifted Indiana over Syracuse in the '87 final? Those are two great moments that have their place in tournament history. But no tournament game can match the drama of the final minutes of the 1992 East Regional Final.
And here is Brown open, takes it, lays it in. Dale Brown broke wide open as they were trying to really double-team Mashburn. 67-57 Kentucky. Intercepted by Feldhaus. Gives it out to Woods. Woods to Mashburn. Goes up for a three straight away. Got it. Grant Hill running the baseline, slips it inbounds, then it's knocked down. Loose ball picked up by Timberlake to Mashburn for a three. Yes. 19 points for Mashburn, 67-63. Kentucky's cut the lead to 4.
The normally poised Blue Devils were frustrated by the Wildcats' furious rally.
Leitner calls for it. There's a double on Leitner. And Leitner kicked it. And they got it. There's the technical on Christian Leitner. Stepped right in his chest.
That was a pretty darn nasty situation. I don't know if he did it on purpose or not.
Yeah, he did. Pretty obvious.
It disrupted the game. We had regained control of the game, and now there was turmoil. There were a lot of things that could enter into it. Instead of being in a nice flow for Duke, he hurt that flow through not thinking, a lack of discipline, and Kentucky knew it.
In seeing Leitner sort of lose it and step on Timberlake, Krzyzewski realized that his star was at the end of his rope, that all the attention and emotional pressure of being the leader of this team that was atop the polls all year, being the focus of attention of defenses and fans, had finally taken its toll. And the first thing Krzyzewski did when they got back to Durham after leaving Philadelphia was sit Bobby Hurley down and tell Bobby, you're going to have to be the man when we go to Minnesota next week.
The Blue Devils regained their composure, and as things settled down, both teams stepped up to a level that is rarely achieved in college basketball.
Steele, Thomas Hill, Hurley.
He's got a double team already. Gives it to Brown coming in. He puts it up and in, and he's fouled.
Hurley with the fish, basket, yes, and the foul.
It was great. It was like, you know, can you top this? It was just each team, you know, going at each other back and forth and making great plays, hitting threes and, you know, making great moves. And it was just back and forth basketball. It was, you know, one of the best games I've ever been a part of.
Mashburn throws it in. Here's Dale Brown. Open. Got it. Alfred's just back of the keyhole. They go inside. Here goes Mashburn for the basket. Puts it up. Got it. 83-83.
You had more than one guy from each team making big plays. You had a number of guys out there making big plays. And that's what makes great games, not just one guy from each team. And I was astounded, you know, that kids could do that in a regional championship game. And I marveled at what was going on.
As the game neared the end of regulation, it became clear that it would be decided in the final minute.
10 seconds now on the shot clock. Grant, one-on-one against Mashburn. Feeds it off to Thomas Hill. Coming to a jump stop. Jumper is up. It goes! Thomas Hill puts the lead back on the Blue Devil side at 93-91 with 57 seconds left. Here come the Wildcats. Woods down the right side. Bobby Hurley plays D in front of him. Holds it up over his head. Looks, bounces it off. Now to Feldhouse. Gives it away to Pelfrey. Guarded by Brian Davis. Pelfrey with 44 seconds left. Going around him to the baseline. Underneath, in trouble. Shot blocked. Picked up by Feldhouse. Puts it up and in. And we are tied with 37 seconds left. Now Bobby Hurley gets the ball from Grant Hill. 9 seconds left. 7 seconds left. Hurley out one-on-one. Hurley down the right side. Pull-up jumper is up. It will not go down. And Mashburn rebounds. We got overtime.
After 40 minutes, Duke and Kentucky were tied at 93. A 5-minute overtime would determine who advanced to the Final Four. Reaches that zone of invincibility. In the 1973 championship game, UCLA's Bill Walton hit 21 of 22 field goal attempts and scored 44 points, helping the Bruins defeat Memphis State. Duke fans would like to forget the performance by Kentucky's Jack Givens in the 1978 final. The Wildcat forward scored 41 points, including Kentucky's last 16 points of the first half, as the Wildcats claimed their 5th national title. The Blue Devils would return the favor in the 1992 East Regional Final. Christian Leitner took 20 shots, 10 from the field and 10 from the free throw line, and all of them saw the bottom of the net.
Gives it out to Pelfrey. He's going to try a three. He's open out there. Got it! 96-93 Kentucky. 3:53 still left in this overtime.
They were stunned. We can see it in their eyes that they were worried. And, you know, they were starting to play conservative. But, you know, I have to give them a lot of credit. Even though we hit some big-time shots, you know, they matched us shot for shot.
Grant Hill almost has it knocked away on the pass by Woods. Over to Hurley. Bobby for three. Off the mark. The rebound out to Grant Hill. Back to Bobby. Another three. Yes! Bobby Hurley drills his 5th three-pointer of the ball game to tie it at 96. Oh, my goodness! Mashburn. Fouled! He'll shoot one. Quick pass up the sideline, comes to Leitner. Leitner goes into the hole. He's fouled by Mashburn. Mashburn is out of the ball game with his 5th foul with 14 seconds left in overtime.
7.8 seconds remaining. Woods. Yes!
Man.
How did he find the courage to take that kind of shot?
You know, it went in, okay? But that was a terrible shot.
That's been a normal shot for me, you know, off the backboard. And I just took the shot, and, you know, I was fortunate enough that it went in.
I knew it was going to be hard, and then it hit the glass and went in, and it was just like the greatest feeling in the world. I just thought, you know, at that moment in time, for just a second, I thought, well, maybe we've won this one. You know, maybe we're going to Final Four now. So that was, at that time, that was my feeling.
Well, the very first thing I said to the team as they were walking to the bench is, we're going to win. And then when they sat down, I again looked at every one of them. I said, we're going to win. You understand? We're going to win.
I really didn't feel as confident as Coach did. You know, he was amazing the way he was able to really believe that we were going to win. And I think, you know, he tried to instill that in us.
I asked Grant Hill, I said, can you throw the ball 75 feet? And he said, yes. I wanted to get a positive response from him. He says, yeah, I can throw it. I said, will you take it out of bounds?
Fortunately for Hill, he was not guarded, because in a similar situation a month earlier at Wake Forest, Hill was guarded, and his throw forced Christian Laettner out of bounds. This time would be different.
There's the pass to Laettner. Puts it up. Yes!
I kind of compared it after the game, you know, Christian's shot in the past and so forth to the natural Robert Redford when he hit the ball and it's going in slow motion and it hits the light in the stadium, and just it seemed like it was kind of like that. It was just, everything was in slow motion.
Once I caught the ball, I just made a post move, a move I would usually make, you know, 5 feet from the bucket, because you call that a back to the basket move. And my back was to the basket, so all I did was I faked one way and shot the other way. And it happened so quickly, there was really no time to think. I just shot the ball, and I went in.
They throw it to left of the floor. Laettner catches, comes down, dribbles, shoots, scores! Christian Laettner has hit the bucket at the buzzer! The Blue Devils win it, 104 to 103!
Thomas Hill looked like he just seen some close relative die in an accident. I mean, just you couldn't tell that he was deliriously happy, because he looked like he might have been just witnessing a tragedy or something. His emotions must have been so confused.
Here's the long pass, and Laettner's got it. Puts down a dribble, turns with a jumper. Good! And Duke wins it, 104 to 103. That is why they're number one.
My body became numb, and my legs went right from under me, and I put my hand on my head and fell straight to the ground.
I told the guys, don't let 2 seconds determine your basketball life, because it's worth a lot more than that.
And all of a sudden, you know, for the first time, he broke. And to see him break, and he was like our salvation, our backbone, that was just even more devastating.
And I look up, I'm saying my goodbye. It's going to be my last Kentucky broadcast. And here stands Mike Krzyzewski, and he asked if he may get a headset and a microphone. And we were glad to have him, and we were almost, we were within 20 seconds of signing off by the time he got over. And then he talked to the Kentucky fans and told them it was one of the greatest games he'd ever been a part of, and it's a game you hate to see end, and really you hate to see either team lose. And he told them they should be very proud of their team. I thought for the opposing coach to come over and make those kind of remarks just reeked of class. I didn't know him very well, but I'll always remember that. And I just thought it was what college basketball should be about.
I just remember the bus ride from the airport. You know, we were going through thousands and thousands of fans, and it was unbelievable to me. I couldn't believe it, and at the time I was so hurt, all I could do was cry.
And for your outstanding contributions to University of Kentucky basketball, please look to the ceiling as we retire your jerseys.
Really grateful, and I couldn't believe it. And every time I walk in the rut right now, you know, it's just a thing that I look up there just to see if my jersey's still up there, because sometimes I don't believe that it's out there.
I think, you know, that'll be four of the closest friends that anybody could ever imagine.
The Kentucky game was the most dramatic game that I've been associated with for high stakes.
Well, as Christian Leitner won the game and people started running out in the court, I obviously had to gather up my materials, so I had to think about getting to the interview room. But I took enough time to write down on my scorecard. I had kept a scorecard, and in, I don't ordinarily do this, but in NCAA competition, I like to do this just in case there's a handy souvenir. Well, I've got a souvenir because on the one side I have all the scores of the game, but on the other side, I wrote this note and showed it to Kaywood Ledford, the venerable Kentucky broadcaster, and said, "Greatest NCAA tournament game ever!" exclamation, underline, and I really believe that I can take out the word NCAA now and say greatest tournament game ever. Showed it to Kaywood, and his expression looking back at me was something along the lines of, "You really think so?" Well, I really do think so.
I talked to him a few minutes later and said, if not the greatest, it ranks in the top 3. It was a heck of a game, or a hell of a game is what I said to him. So, and I think it was.
I probably could say yes, it was the greatest game because of everything that went on with it.
If a game were only 2 minutes long, it may still have been the greatest game I've ever seen.
Perhaps Adolph Rupp said it best. I'd like to borrow his words for my goodbye that he used in his goodbye speech, and the words are these. For those of you who have gone down the glory road with me, my eternal thanks. From Philadelphia, this is Kaywood Ledford saying goodbye. Well, here's Coach Mike Krzyzewski. Great game, Mike. Apparently he's going to sit in with us for a minute. And Coach, congratulations. It was a great, great game.
Thanks, Kaywood. And I wanted to seek you guys out because all the Kentucky fans would be listening, and just to say how much empathy we have as a staff and team for the Kentucky kids. They were absolutely sensational. It was one of the best college games I've ever, maybe the best